Today, we're doing a deep dive, what in Japanese they call a kosatsu, from the perspective of a fan. We're talking about the once-in-a-generation singer, Ado. She just dropped a project that was so personal, so shocking, it sent waves through her entire fan base, and it left every single one of us asking one huge question. The night the music video for Vivarium premiered, Ado did a live stream on YouTube, and you could just feel the tension. She was so nervous. In her own words, she said the last time she felt that kind of intense pressure was at her very first live concert years ago. This wasn't just another song release. This was something that was shaking her to her core. And that tension, it all stemmed from the central question on every fan's mind. Why? Why would an artist who built her entire career on anonymity, whose image is defined by these stylish illustrations, suddenly release her first ever live-action project? Why choose to reveal herself now? To find the answer, you can't actually start with the music video. You have to rewind the clock just a little bit. Because the key to understanding why she did all this isn't in a song, it's in her autobiographical novel. The project is called Vivarium. Now, scientifically, a vivarium is just an enclosure, like a terrarium or an aquarium, for observing something in a near-natural state. But what really matters here is the metaphorical meaning. An isolated space, a miniature garden, cut off from the outside world where you live in your own universe. And for Ado, that vivarium was a very, very real place. She said it herself, "My vivarium was my closet." And that's not just a poetic line. It's literally where her career began. That small, enclosed, private space is where she recorded her first songs and dreamed of her future. And that novel? It laid everything bare. She talked about how she first discovered Vocaloid music, what made her decide to become a cover singer or Utaite, the deep roots of her own self-dislike, and the really tough struggles she faced back in her school days. This book became the foundation for everything that came next. After pouring her life story into that novel, Ada said she felt this unstoppable urge. She needed to express these feelings not just with words, but with her own music. This wasn't about making a chart-topping hit. For her, it was a creative and personal necessity. And this is the absolute key. Unlike her massive hits that were written for her by other composers, Ado wrote the lyrics and the music for Vivarium herself. As she puts it, "This is a song I truly wrote for myself." And that's why it's one of the most direct, unfiltered messages of her entire career. So, what was that message? Well, it's about the huge gap between two identities. On one side, you have Ado, the perfect, powerful illustrated icon with an effortless smile. And on the other, you have Ao, her real name, which she revealed in the novel, the flawed, clumsy, real human being who has to sprint desperately just to keep up. The lyrics are just filled with this conflict. She sings about the distant ideal she sees in the mirror. She mentions her clumsy fingertips, which she's admitted is a real-life complex of hers. She laments breaking precious things in exchange for her dream, and it all comes together with this haunting line to her past self. The you in the closet is still crying. After writing a book and a song that were this honest, this raw, a slick, animated music video just wasn't gonna cut it, right? To truly express the unvarnished reality of Ao, she felt she had no choice but to use her own body and commit to a live-action performance. It was a decision she made herself. And her reason why was surprisingly straightforward. She said, "I'm not virtual. I'm 3D. I want to show that I exist." After years of being seen as a two-dimensional icon, this project was her way of planting a flag and declaring that she is, in fact, a real, living, breathing human being. And man, did she commit to this idea physically. No stunt doubles. She was sprinting full speed in heels, plunging herself into a freezing pool over a dozen times, and even performing a scene where she slams into a door so hard she actually injured her leg. This wasn't about looking cool. It was about showing a raw, painful, and very real human struggle. But it is so important to understand that this project was never meant to be a final confession. This isn't an ending. For Ado, this was a necessary ritual, a way to confront her past so that she could finally move into the next phase of her art and her life. This slide shows her evolution perfectly. Just a few years ago, in her first self-written song, Hatsuka, she was crying out for help, singing, "I don't know the right answer, so teach me." But in Vivarium, the tone is completely different. She looks back at her past self and declares, "Goodbye, I still have to sing." It's a shift from a plea to a powerful statement of intent. In her own words, this act of radical self-disclosure wasn't draining. It was empowering. She said, "Thanks to this Vivarium project, I feel I can take another step forward." By showing her real, flawed self, she finally gained the freedom to move on, and she's actually hopeful about her own future. So, in the end, the Vivarium project was never about revealing her face. It was about revealing her humanity. It's the story of a girl who was saved by music inside a closet, who finally found the strength to save herself and take a step outside. And that leaves us with just one thrilling question. Now that she's taken that step out of her Vivarium, what on earth is she going to show us next?